What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is the JR Wisdom channel. Once again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. And if this is your first time checking out one of my videos, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button along with the bell. That way you receive all the notifications for all of my future videos that have content like this. So without further ado, I'm just going to get right into it because I don't want to hold this up any longer. I know you guys been waiting. I have a special guest for you guys tonight. She is an incredible YouTuber, colleague of mine, highly esteemed. She is a licensed therapist, but she goes by the moniker the woke therapist here on YouTube. But you guys, go ahead and we're gonna post her link. It'll everything will be in the description for you guys to subscribe to her. We're gonna have an awesome discussion tonight. This is something that we've talked about personally, and I believe there are a lot of ladies that are wanting to know what it is that men want, and I still find it to be like one of those questions. Like, guys are like super simple, guys are super easy, like Sunday morning, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, we're just going to jump right into it. Allow me to introduce my friend Marlo, the woke therapist. Let's bring her in. Marlo, how are you doing this evening? What's happening with you?
I'm well. How are you?
You already know it's the greatest day of my life as
Best
usual.
day of
Thank
your
you
life.
for asking. Thank you for asking. Hey, so I'm glad that you could join me this evening. Definitely to get your perspective, especially within our community, to have a therapist live and in person to speak about these issues, especially, you have direct uh contact on the regular with folks and to know their most personal issues and things like that. So you have I guess, what is it, the empirical data on you know
Indeed.
the issues that are discussed within the community,
Mhm.
and definitely want to have this conversation with you. I think it's going to be awesome. But before we get into that real quick, just going to cover some housekeeping notes that I didn't cover previously. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna have a discussion, and then if you guys would like to call in and ask some questions of Marlo, feel free to call in. But we are going to jump right into it. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time on here as well, and one time for the algorithm. So
How was that for the algorithm?
Marlo, can you tell us, quick? I know I just introduced you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself that I may have missed? Because I don't want to skip anything.
No, I mean you pretty much covered everything. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, so I do therapy in real life. And majority of my clients that I work with both men and women. The thing that makes me slightly different, and if you were to look at my YouTube channel, which you probably would not think a therapist would do any of the things that I do on YouTube, but I integrate a spiritual element into everything that I do because I think, if we think back to what psychology means, root word is psyche,
Mhm.
which means soul. And when we think about mental health, we're oftentimes thinking about the brain, we're thinking about our thoughts, feelings, emotions, things of the sort, but we're not really thinking about the spirit. We're not thinking about the soul. So, especially for the Black community, I want to look at the elements of mental health as well as our spirituality. And when it comes to the thing that JR and I consistently talk about, it's relations
Right.
between people. It's romantic relationships and what that gap is, and the work that we do trying to bridge that gap between men and women.
Awesome, awesome. So first question I have for you, and I know we've discussed this at length. I was kind of confused that you said that you've spoken about your clients,
Mhm.
women. I'm assuming not that they're all women, but a lot of the women are confused about what it is that a man desires of them or wants from them in
Mhm.
terms of that. And I was always like, man, is it a communication issue? Is it is are guys that deep? Do women see guys as being that deep or that hard to figure out? I mean, what is the biggest issue that you see that comes along when you're speaking with your clients?
To
In
be
terms of-
quite honest, I think in a lot of ways, um, women don't know what men want at all. And I know that may be very difficult for yourself as well as probably every dude that's listening right now.
Right.
It's like, we're pretty simple, like 1 plus 1 equals 2, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? But a lot of women, and that may shock men to hear, a lot of women have no idea, which is why, like I said, the live stream that you did, I think that was like last week when you were talking about like natural hair versus like being in disguise, right?
Right, right, right,
It's
right,
like a lot of women really don't know the answer to that. It's the thought of there could be a woman who loves her natural hair,
right.
loves her fro, loves her locks, you know what I mean? But would assume it's because, just the way the society is now, it would be the assumption of like, oh, I need to have like, the long flowing hair because that's what dudes are looking for. And
Hmm.
I know like you and a lot of your guests that came on were just like, you can't run your fingers through that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, there's a level of discomfort with that. But it's the fact that inherently a woman doesn't know that, you know? Like they don't. And that's a question. And I'm like, which is why like this whole conversation got started. Women can ask me all day. It's like, well, what do men want? And I'm like, well, I'm not a dude.
Yeah, yeah.
I cannot tell you. I have no idea. So I think this is a great conversation to be had because it offers women who are listening or that'll watch the replay of this the opportunity to be able to see what it is that guys really want because I think y'all would be shocked. Majority of women have no clue. No clue.
So is it in turn? So a lot of these things, like, because I know obviously you counsel married couples,
Mhm.
or coach and or counsel and give therapy to married couples. I can't get
Mhm.
that out for some reason. Couples therapy and things like that.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering, like, is it a matter of her not being submissive enough, or she doesn't know that he wants her to be submissive, or he just can't communicate? Is it a problem of not being able to properly communicate, like if there's a sexual issue when it comes to what you desire, or
Mhm.
is it just do you just see it as just a communication thing as opposed to, and things can be just simplified if people knew how to communicate with each other?
To be quite honest, of all of the married couples I've seen in my entire career, um, if I were to say percentage wise, the mass majority of couples that I've seen, it's miscommunication.
Mm,
And I am flabbergasted at the idea that I'm sitting here, I have two people across from me, they're saying the same exact thing
right.
in two different ways, but neither one of them realize that they're saying the same thing. So the issue is with every romantic relationship where there's a breakdown, the
Hmm.
breakdown starts with the breakdown in intimacy. And you could be married for 30 years. And in the first 5 months that you're married, intimacy could break down. And then the question is, well, what is intimacy? And the most simplistic way to say it is when you stop believing that your partner has your best interest at heart. So the moment that one person in a marriage or a relationship stops believing that the other person has their best interest at heart, the guards go up. The
Okay.
other person follows, and you have two people who could be married for 30 years in opposition to each other. Because I'm looking out for me now because I don't believe you're looking out for me. But once that happens, that causes the communication to break down where two people can be saying the same exact thing, but neither one is hearing each other. So that would be the mass majority.
Mm,
So there are things where, there's cheating or there's I can't even say wholeheartedly that I've ever had a couple. I can't say that this doesn't exist, but me personally, I've never had a couple that came in where the issue was a lack thereof of like submission. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I think you guys would call that like a modern woman. I've never really had that type of issue in my married couples. It's usually miscommunication, which is
Gotcha.
why I have a pretty good success rate. That's me, tooting my
When
horn.
you say a pretty good success rate, what do you mean?
Meaning that it's people who are able to not get divorced.
Mm,
and are able to reconcile.
gotcha. So you mentioned, I know you said the modern woman in terms of submission. So I'm going to speak from what I hear, and I know you, because you follow the same content that I kind of follow to a certain extent. So you hear the complaints about what a lot of guys on in this space talk about, and a lot
Mhm,
of times it is basically submission. And
mhm,
then you'll have women come back and say, "Well, you don't know how to lead." But then
mhm,
again, you'll be with a guy that doesn't know how to lead, and then it just goes back and forth. So I look at it, and I get a lot of flack based off my position on it is that, if you're going to be, or you're going to call yourself being the man of the house or the
mhm,
provider, and because I'm a traditionalist in terms of that,
mhm,
if a woman wants to work, she can work, but
mhm.
ultimately I feel that the man is the provider, cherisher, sustainer, etc., of the wife and the household and children, and he should be able to provide a household and be able to take care of, or financially provide for any children they may have. Otherwise, you shouldn't be having all them kids. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Just my thoughts. But you should be prepared to do that.
Mhm,
So in order to ask for submission, and I know I said it one time, uh, in terms of a man submitting to a woman, and it got, all they heard was that, and they took it completely out of context of what I was trying to say.
mhm,
Guys, and there are certain, they get it, you'll hear one thing, people hear one thing and just take it to the extreme, that I should be a tyrant and this woman should do what I say, and I don't have to do anything to either please her or basically make her happy. Her
mhm,
job is my happiness at the end of the day, which I don't believe that personally.
mhm,
Um, when you're looking for a submission from a woman, you have to be able to provide those things. And if early on, or even when you're dating, because obviously things aren't the way they used to be. If
mhm.
you're having an issue with this woman not being submissive, then either you shouldn't be marrying her, or because when you're married, it's kind of like, I'm not saying it's too late, but you're trying to fix those things in terms of submission. And if she's used to being a certain way, and I don't want to get into spoiled and things like that, but
Mhm.
generally, to make a long story short, what I'm saying is, that's the biggest complaint. They want, was
Yeah.
it feminine, friendly,
Mhm,
cooperative,
mhm.
submissive, instead of basically trying to say some things, and a woman being in opposition of
Right.
everything.
Mhm,
Um, Guys, obviously, and with the advent of Kevin, even though we've been saying this for years
mhm,
about what men want,
mhm,
the fit, feminine, fun,
mhm,
cooperative, submissive are the basic things.
mhm.
And some of those things are like, what do you think? And this is what I was bringing this to. What do you think about that, when, if a man is asking that of a woman, and a woman's like, that sounds too much like slavery? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are, much like you said, it's like, what you would be talking about is like dual submission, which in a psychological term would be like interdependence, where
Yes.
you have two independent people that are coming together and there's a level of dual submission because you have two individual beings who are autonomous that are choosing to come together. But what it really comes back to is what you said initially, which is partner selection, right? That's what the biggest issue is we can think
And
of her as
that's an evil word too, but go ahead. The
what
word
partner
the word
selection?
part the word partner or partnership,
Oh,
the
yeah, I've
way
heard
these
about that.
gentlemen, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, the way these
No, I
gentlemen
get
look
it
at it,
because that's
it's an
that's
evil
like the
word.
hot thing. Because
But go ahead.
typically it's like what you hear, and I hear that a lot in the manosphere of women who will say, like, I'm looking for a partner and this and that. And it's kind of like a threatening thing because I think it's a misunderstanding on both sides, but it goes back to partner selection because you have to know who you're dealing with.
Facts.
So if I think about a woman who's reluctant to submit to someone she's with, right?
Right.
And it's just like you said, he don't know how to lead, right? So the thing is like, I mean, yeah, if you think dude's walking off of a cliff, you know what I'm saying? It's like, why would anyone want to follow someone who's clearly walking off of a cliff?
Mhm.
But it goes back to why would you choose to align your life with someone who's walking off of cliffs?
Yes.
You feel what I'm saying? And I think those are things that oftentimes, and if we were to say in the day and age we live in now, we have access to so much like knowledge and wisdom and, just books and spiritual teachers and, leaders and, thought leaders and things of the sort. Back in the day, not so much, right? But
Mm-hmm.
now it's like we can educate ourselves. And the thing I stress for every person I work with is you need to be self-aware. Like you need to know you need to know who you are. And if you know who you are, then you know who to choose that's a compliment to you. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel the issue of the desire to have commitment or to have, submission or to have, a provider or a leader as a partner isn't that complicated if
Yes.
you're aware of who and what you are and you know what you're looking for. It's, I think a lot of times when people have issues romantically, it stems back to poor partner selection. It's
Mm.
like it shouldn't be a question of like, are you gonna submit? You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like if this is the makeup of a person, they're gonna do what they do, because I think any woman is comfortable with that. It's like if you have a husband or a partner who you have seen is equipped to take care of himself and his life and has goals and a mission, a vision, and feels led by the Almighty, right?
Right.
It's like, what's the issue with that if I'm picking you because you're a reflection of me? You know what I mean? And it was
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, I think we should do this." It's like, "Cool. You wanna handle that? Sure. Knock it out. Have fun with that."
Right.
But what it is, it's a lack of trust. And that goes like, and I always like teach women from the perspective of look at your friendships. It's like, how would you deal with a friend treating you a certain way? Or how would you treat like your homegirl, right? It's like that's what we're looking for. It's like a certain stuff, like any woman, you're not gonna let your homegirl just do this, do that, whatever.
Right.
Look at the same thing when you're picking a dude. You know what I mean? If you're just like, oh, that's my homegirl that just can't keep a job, girl. It's like she just the one that's like, she ain't got it. She's like Tommy. We know Tommy ain't got no job.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like if you're talking about someone you're trying to align your life with and you know this person has those inconsistencies, that's not what you want. It's like, why pick them?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't have that trust enough to allow them to lead anything. So that's really what it goes back to. I think the reluctance for a woman to quote unquote submit, it's not just rebellion and wanting to be, and I can't say that for everybody because that's not the case for everybody,
Yeah.
right? It's just for some people. But a lot of times that reluctance isn't because a woman is like full in her masculine energy. It's just because she doesn't trust the dude that she's with. And it really goes back to you shouldn't have picked him in the first place.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. So before I ask you this next question, I'm gonna go ahead and get with you guys. Go ahead and hit that like button, guys, if you haven't. You know, get some engagement, helps to promote the video. I know we're kind of like slow in here tonight, but I appreciate everybody who's tuned in. 47 watching, 41 likes. So you mentioned something earlier about this compatibility, right?
Mhm.
And I know I did a video on this, and I think we talked about this as well. The Madonna horror complex, right?
Mhm.
In terms of the whole sexuality thing. So we know that people marry for different reasons. Sometimes it's not sexually, it's not based upon sexual attraction all the time. Sometimes it's just to have kids a lot of times, and it may not be necessarily that. And a woman may, in my opinion, I'm just going based off of my thoughts. I'm not, I know
Mhm.
you have, been through school and studied this at length, but from my thoughts is that women tend to marry for security a lot of times, and it's not necessarily about her completely being, especially when she looks at him, her being completely sexually attracted to this man. But this complex, this Madonna horror complex, was I just,
Mhm.
found out about, that a guy can actually marry a woman and not use, that's a horrible word, but just be with her, sexually just for childbearing purposes.
Mhm.
But his actual sexual desire is for another type of woman per
Mhm.
se. Do you think that within, the clients that you've had and you've seen, has that been a prevalent issue that guys have discussed, or that their wife or significant other may not be on the type of time or have the same libido as them, or just wasn't?
Well, I would have to say yes and no, because first I would say with the Madonna horror complex, shout out to Sigmund Freud,
Hmm.
um, that ethos speaks more to um the primal archetypal perspective that's inherent to like men, women, like anima, animus, like type of thing. So us
Yes.
inherently primal as men and women. And it's the fact that inherently there's a very didactic view that men have of women inherently, and this is more like nature as it is to like nurture.
Mm.
So it's just like going back to us before, our consciousness developed and things of the sort. It's seeing that you have virgin, right? You have
Hmm.
whore, right? It's like mom, and then it's like, femme fatale, right?
Oh man.
So that's the didactic way that inherently men understand women. And it's not saying that in the sense of your consciousness, like your culture, how you're developed, or attuning to higher consciousness, is that's just the inherent way that we would see women, right?
Mm.
And that's really what the Madonna horror complex speaks to, but putting it into a more practical sense of like how it is relationally, and that thought of like, wife has babies, things of the sort, that's
Yeah.
where it gets more into like a nurture type of thing.
Okay.
So when I say for what I've seen with married couples, no, it's like whenever there's an issue with libido or sexual chemistry, it has nothing to do with just libido.
Okay.
Is usually there's something, once again, going back to intimacy, that intimacy has broken down in the partnership. And whenever a woman doesn't feel safe, whenever
Mm.
she doesn't feel you have her best interest at heart, whenever it's, I don't know if you cheating or whatever it is, it's like it shuts you down sexually. Because if we were to look at it in the sense of like women being receivers,
Yeah.
right? And men being givers, it's like if you smashing, right? You're a woman, you're receiving,
Yes.
right? But
Right.
to receive someone on such of an intimate level, there has to be that level of safety. And if I don't feel safe, then it's like I'm rejecting that receptivity. So
Mm.
it's me from, as a therapist, I'm always looking at everything symbolically. So whenever I hear like, oh, it's an issue with libido, I know it's rarely, if ever, that. It's like, well, let's talk. When did that start? Like, what
Mm.
was happening in your relationship or your marriage at that time when things shifted? You know what I mean? And it's usually always something that made the female partner not feel safe in that connection, or feel like there was a breakdown in that trust or a breakdown in that intimacy. So her not being able to connect sexually, it's like that's just a symptom of the deeper problem, if that's making sense.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, to me, it does. Based upon that whole security thing.
Mhm.
So once again, back to your clients again. When you're having these conversations, when there's a sort of confusion, I guess, do you think that does this come from basically having failed relationships when they're stating this, or is this like more so like when they say I don't know what is there echo? Was that an echo? I guess
Uh-uh.
I thought
It
I heard
just
an
froze
echo.
up a little.
Yeah. Is it like is this based upon like could be gaslighting or failed relationships that women feel this way, or they're just like, I'm confused, I don't know what he wants, or what is he saying two different things, or I'm just confused? Is it something along those lines that you're hearing a lot of times? You're muted, Marlo. You're muted, Marlo. Hold on a second. I don't know how you got muted. Your mic's not connected. It says your mic isn't connected. One second. While she's connecting her mic, guys.
Okay, there
There
we
we
go.
go. Yeah.
I don't know
Loud,
what happened just now,
loud and clear.
but yeah, no, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's that because I work with women in different capacities. It's not necessarily always stemming back to having been in, like narcissistic, gaslighting, abusive type
Yes.
of relationships. I would say the general consensus, and that's again like me just speaking statistically, if
Mm-hmm.
I were to do like a sample size and say like the mass majority, and this is like my women who are, in therapy just because it's like I'm working on myself, not necessarily those who've gotten out of like horrible marriages or relationships. It's just the thought of like, okay, I want to get back to dating.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm ready to be with someone. I feel like I've done enough work on myself. But it's like, and I think a lot of it, which is why it's like I intently study the manosphere. I'm obsessed with it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's like I like to have two sides of the argument. You know what I mean? It's like with everything that y'all are saying over here, I want to understand because it's like if anyone is taking a stance on something, that means you have conviction. And it's
Yes.
like, and if you have conviction, I want to understand that conviction. It's not my place to say what's right or what's wrong, but it's like I want to understand. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Because in order for you to be right, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to make me wrong. We could both be right. We just have different perspectives. But with a lot of women who want to get back into dating and want to meet guys, it's like it's an intimidation of hearing a lot of stuff that's spoken about in the manosphere because it's I don't know what to do with that. So it's like not really understanding it and this being something new. It's like, okay, so it's like, what do y'all want? It's like, I thought y'all wanted this, and y'all are saying y'all want that. And it's like, if y'all want that, I thought it was this. So it's
Yeah.
not this, is that now. And it's like, well,
Right.
what are we doing? So that's really where that confusion comes from. But it's not necessarily always because because if a
Failed
person is
relationship.
out of a wounded relationship, it's like
Yes.
you just need to do your healing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But I think even after that's done, it's just like I still really don't understand what's happening over here and what y'all want from me. What do you want? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And as part of that healing is that's when they come and see you when so they're getting prepared to get back out there or they're actively
Mhm.
doing it.
I don't suggest when women are coming to me, especially if they're just coming out of a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you what to do because you're a grown adult,
Right.
right?
Right. Exactly.
But I don't suggest that my clients date, especially like if you've been married. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you don't need to be dating because you have to unlearn yourself from your marriage. Who you were prior to being married, who you were in your marriage, and who you are after you get divorced, those are different people. You
Facts.
can't go back to who you were pre-marriage. Like you just can't because you're a
Facts.
totally different person that's had different experiences, you know? So you
Mm.
need to give yourself time to get back to your baseline, your ground zero of knowing who you are again now post this marriage on top of what it is that you learned during your marriage. If there's any healing that needs to happen, if you had a partner that was narcissistic, controlling, whatever the case, you need to go through that healing process and get a clear understanding of yourself. So I don't advise that clients date, right after getting out of a divorce or getting out of a breakup because you need to get back to you.
Mm.
But my clients who've been with me for some time, which is usually around the time that they're, round about the time of termination, because I don't be
Mm.
doing no 7-year, 10-year therapy
Yeah.
because you do not need to be in therapy that
You
long.
gotta graduate. Yeah.
Don't let nobody tell you you do not need to be in therapy that long time. I'm telling you. But it's like when someone's coming about somewhere, whatever, and they're about to be terminated, that's the ideal time that most people start talking about romantic partnerships and things of the sort. But the question I get a lot, and that's whether from my men clients or my female clients, it's just the thought of like, so what we doing? Like, so what everybody doing out here? Like,
Yeah.
what they about? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people will come to YouTube to get answers, to get
Exactly.
clarity on kind of what's happening, you know? And it confuses people a lot sometimes.
Yes. Yes, because you bombarded with all these different people and you don't know who to listen to. And
Exactly.
then I think you mentioned to me, I believe we were having a conversation
Mhm.
and there's certain, you mentioned, I'm trying to phrase it the best way possible. When someone is seeking therapy from a personal perspective and a dating perspective, you mentioned something about you can't do, or not that you can't, but you're reluctant to do that side of it in terms of the dating portion. Or am I saying that correctly? Or
I don't think I understand the question.
so
This is
so
that's
like so like I guess if you have a young lady that comes to you
Mhm,
and she's having some issues, maybe some confidence issues,
mhm,
she was dating a narcissist or something like that. She
mhm,
has low self-esteem,
mhm,
and she's just trying to get over that to, basically address these issues.
mhm.
But in terms of what does she need to do as far as dating a certain guy, or if she's looking to date a certain type of guy,
Yeah.
you said, I can't remember exactly what you said, but it was something along the lines of, I wouldn't necessarily advise her uh in a therapist capacity in terms of this. I don't want
Yeah, I would
to.
never say that because it's like you attract what you are, right?
Right.
And if you just got out of a relationship with a narcissist, it's like we need to address what got you, you know, into a connection with a person such as this, of what drew you to them, you know what I'm saying? And that's not just for people who are narcissistic, but I mean with anything. It's like we need to address that first. And you can't come to therapy to try to figure out, it's like, okay, so I dated this guy that's like a little narky,
Yeah.
right? And it's like I want to date a guy that's like not narky, so it's like, help me not date guys that are narky. And
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not what we're doing. Right. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? It's like we need to get to the root of how it is that this happened in the first place, because who it is that you're drawing to you is a reflection of you. So we have to get to that good place within you to start to understand our partner selection and who we're attracting and why it is that we're dating certain people. Why it is we're putting up with certain things. And that always goes back to a self-worth and a self-value type of thing. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not saying that, narcissists are not going to be narcissists and that narcissists don't come after people who are healthy that have been to
Yeah.
therapy, that are mentally stable, because that's very possible. But it's the fact that you're going to start to notice those signs. You're going to pump the brakes, be like, okay, this is a red flag, and take a step back. But I would never suggest for anyone, whether they're male or female, to look at any therapist, not even just myself, is just like, okay, so I dated them, now I want to date this. Like, show me how to date that. Like, that's
Mhm.
not what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
That's
I guess I was getting at, you wouldn't necessarily, and I know you're not a dating coach, so I just want to clear that up. You're not a dating coach. Um,
Mm-mm.
I don't know why that thing is echoing like that, but yeah, that's kind of like what I was getting at, But just developing or being able to develop healthy relationships, but as opposed, as what you said earlier, you're not going to tell, because you're not going to tell somebody what to do because you're an adult at the end of the day. So
Yeah,
let me
absolutely.
ask you this though. What do men need to know from a therapist perspective? Because I don't want you to be switching hats necessarily or whatever. But if
Mhm.
you want to, by all means, switch the hats. What do men need to know about women in terms of what it is that they feel like men want? If that makes
Um, I would say look for the gray area. I'm not gonna even say look for the gray area. I would say know that the gray area is a real thing and it exists. And
sense.
there's a middle road between, wait, what do y'all call it? 304s that are for the streets
Yeah,
and
yeah,
modern women.
okay,
It's like, and I think if I were to put in the terminology I'm most familiar with, you have alphas, betas, and sigmas, even though some people think sigmas are like betas.
yeah,
But in a psychological perspective, sigma would be, if you were to think of it, how I explain to all of my people, the Likert scale. You have alpha over here, you have beta over here, you have your midpoint. Your
hmm,
midpoint is where you transcend a timeline, right? And sigma, proverbially speaking, would be
hmm,
that transcendent point. And if I look at that as a gray area. That would be my advice, is knowing that there's a gray area that does exist. It's like the mass majority of humanity is going to fall into two categories, 304s. I think I'm
Yeah.
saying it right.
Yeah.
I feel so
Yes.
funny saying that. In modern women, but it's like that gray area of women that I think most men would desire to partner with. Those people do exist. They're just not plenty. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of opening up to different environments and different people to know that women like that actually do exist in real life.
Mm. So there's a gray area.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not on that for the ragers. I'm not gonna say their name, but it's not everything that those acronym guys say it
Mhm.
is
No,
in terms
absolutely
of that.
not.
So what do men, and I know this isn't really the title of the video, but what do men need to know about women? And you can use either hat you want, but preferably from what you heard from your clients or what you
Mhm.
gather from your clients. What do men need to know about women?
Hmm. What I would say what men need to know about women is we're a lot more, oh God, do I want to say it like that?
Hey, let it go. Say it. Say it.
um, we're a lot more mutable than I think many people I hate to say it like that because I don't want to judge anyone or put anyone in a box, but I think from what I've heard and what I've talked to with different males in the manosphere, I feel women are a lot more mutable than most men in this sphere assume, you
Really?
know? Yeah. And it goes back to what we were saying before. It's just all about stance. But I feel where there's that misunderstanding or that miscommunication between us is like, and I give, props to any dude that watches you, because I feel that anyone who watches you is someone who is actually trying to or has a desire or a passion for developing themselves,
Okay,
right?
okay,
Of
okay,
wanting to be their best self in some sense or another. You know what I'm saying?
okay.
So I feel if a man and a woman are in that mindset, it's like most of the issues and problems that probably every dude that watches you has had. Right? I was like, no, there's a woman that isn't going to fall into those two categories that you'll be able to mesh well with, if that makes sense.
Got you.
That would be the woke therapists need to know.
So don't so don't judge a book or a BBL by its cover.
There you go. Because maybe it might not be a BBL.
Yeah. It might not
Maybe
be a
she was born
BBL.
that way.
And maybe yeah. Hey, but even if she has a BBL, that doesn't mean that she's a certain type of woman. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
That doesn't mean she's a
Exactly.
304. It
Mhm.
could have been confidence issue or just, whatever.
Yeah, maybe
So
one of her cheeks was bigger than the other, and she was trying to,
facts. Facts. Yeah. So man, sheesh. So so we shouldn't look at we should take the individualistic approach, I guess is what I'm
Absolutely.
getting at. And that women aren't everything that most guys think they are. There are some that are willing to work with you.
Absolutely.
And,
And
and
I would say the same thing for women as well. It's like, all dudes aren't horrible. You know what I'm saying?
right.
They're not all dogs.
Is that something that you hear a lot though?
Not so much in my office, but just different things because I also have a women's organization, a women's empowerment organization.
Right.
So it's a lot of work I do with a lot of people in a lot of different spheres, whether it's psychological, it's spiritual. And I love hearing stories, like in every sense, even with my YouTube channel. I love to hear about different people's stories,
Hmm.
so I hear a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's a thing in certain circles, literally.
Mm. So married, single, healing, and therapy. Do you think therapy has become like pop has it become like a thing to do now as opposed to people were reluctant to do it?
Yes. If you think
From
about in the early 2000s, like in the era of like Yorkies and like, like the multicolored Louis Vuitton bag, like the
Mhm.
you probably don't know because you're a boy, but it's like the white Louis Vuitton bag and it was like multicolor LVs and everyone had like a Yorkie early 2000s type of thing in the Paris Hilton era.
Right.
That's kind of what therapists have become. Where back in the day, it's a person would be scared to say, "Oh, let me call you back," because on my flip phone, because I'm sitting in my therapist's office. But now it's like, "Oh, girl, yeah, I'm about to go talk to my therapist, girl. Oh, girl, my therapist said so." But I think that's a good thing that therapy has become more in the mainstream, especially in the Black community, because it gives people the ability to not feel shame
Yes.
to see a therapist. It's more accessible now because, like, all of us, like, if you ever didn't know, it's not possible to not afford therapy because all of us are required by most of our licensing boards to have at least one pro bono client a year,
Mhm.
meaning you ain't got to pay nothing. And majority of us, myself included, have a sliding scale. So it goes by what it is that you make per year, and that reduces what the cost is. And then, of course, there's insurance and a myriad of other things. Many of us do packages. So I like the fact that it's been brought into the mainstream because it makes it more accessible to everyone. So yeah, it has become kind of like pop culture-ish, but I feel that that's working in our favor in the favor of everyone's mental health.
Outstanding. So if a young man is out here, right, based off of what I'm gathering from you, from because I guess essentially what you said, I was kind of looking for some like not necessarily a laundry list, but something like that women say that they're looking for in a
Mhm.
man.
Mhm.
What would be some things? I know you mentioned security being one of them.
Yeah.
What's some other common things? And
Dude,
I,
it's very traditional stuff. Like I know for my girls um that are in my organization, it's like number 1 is your awareness and connection with spirit. Right?
mm,
So it's having a same spiritual belief system because if that's the guiding light in a person's life, and it doesn't matter what your religion is, it's you want to have someone that would be equally yoked,
right,
right? Because if that's the guiding force of your life, you want to have someone that has that same guiding force because that's your default to decision making, to how it is that you're navigating through the world, right?
right.
That's the next thing where we step into human stuff. And that would be like, of course, like security, right? This
Hmm.
person being self assured, this person having goals, this person having dreams, feeling as if they have a calling, a mission, a purpose, that, they're headed in a specific direction or doing something, tapping back to that spiritual element that is God led, really, you
Right.
know? And it's someone who's honest and respectful and loyal and consistent. So it's those very simplistic characteristics that women are really looking for, that I think a lot of dudes have no idea that there's women out there looking for that. So it's like a lot of women aren't just, there are women out there who are like that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But you want someone who's self-sufficient, absolutely, but it's not necessarily he has to look a certain way or be aligned with really superficial type of stuff. It's just really looking for qualities that, at least for women that I encounter on a daily basis, the same qualities that they are developing in themselves is wanting someone who's a mirror reflection of that.
So basically, a traditional man in a sense. Even I heard you. I don't know if you necessarily said the Bible, but it sounds like from a biblical standpoint, a guy on that type of time
Mhm.
to to be secure. So, have you encountered any of your clients been um, the very superficial, if you will, in terms of that, or just looking for a guy for a come up? And it's like, hey, it's not, these guys aren't out here, or she doesn't necessarily fit the bill of one who's basically like, I don't care about none of that. I want this type of guy,
Mhm.
and I know everything else is jacked up in my life, but I almost that deserve concept, or I deserve to have this, or that
Mhm.
entitlement concept.
Yeah, I've encountered people that way. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's kind of like the rainbow coalition of people.
Okay.
There's a lot of different people in the world. I just think that there's one very small population that isn't represented very much. And I think both women and men can vouch for what we've typically met the majority of fall into categories such as that,
Hmm.
where it's not like and this is just like saying from what I've heard, it's like because I'm hearing Kendrick Lamar in my head right now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about like a woman who has like stretch marks and stuff like that. Like that's realistic. You know what I'm saying? But it's the thought that a dude who's like hella superficial would want a woman who is like that airbrush Photoshop perfect kind of vibe in real life. But then on the other side of that, there's women who want a dude who's like driving a certain type of car, has, buku money and wants the dude to spend all that money on her and like buy me this, buy me that type of thing. So it's
Hmm.
like those people do exist, and especially in the society we live in now, those type of people are prevalent. I can't deny that at all, especially with younger generations, because the standards that have been set is the thought of, the should ought supposed to's. Like that's who I should ought or supposed to be, because that's the standard. So those people do exist. I have encountered those people,
Hmm.
but they're not, even though I hate to say a majority, but it's sort of kind of true a little bit. Even though they're the majority, it's not saying that that's the standard for all, if that makes sense.
Got it. And I guess if we're going, just like anything else, we're going to have those type of people, that
Mhm.
seek certain, like even guys only seek a woman that may have a certain body type, or a
Mhm.
certain skin color, or even
Mhm.
things like that we can call superficial. Some people may, but you know,
Yes, for some people, it's just preference,
right.
and everyone
And
has a right to their preference.
I know we were talking about that. People get so upset about others' preferences and things like that. So I'm going to I don't know if you had anything else before we start taking some
Sure.
questions, some
I'm
calls
good.
here. I'm going to ask. So the phone lines are open. I see we got a couple waiting here. I'm about to bring you guys on. I'm going to ask you guys. Obviously, if you got any questions for Marlo, the woke therapist, or myself, or if you have something to add, please call in. Ladies, if you don't mind sharing what it is that you're looking for, or what it is that you're looking for in a man. Vice versa, fellas, if you want to call in and say, hey, yo, let us know what it is that you know you're looking for in a woman. Hey, I'll be glad to hear it. So let's go ahead and before I bring the first caller in here, y'all go ahead and subscribe to Marlo's channel, the Woke Therapist channel here. I'm gonna put it in the chat here, and it's gonna be is in the description as well. So I just posted her channel in the chat. Let me put her name here because I got the link here. Subscribe to the Woke Therapist,
Oh, thank you.
and it will be in the description as well. So I just put that in there. Hey, if you guys are in here, man, make sure you guys hit that like button. If this is your first time checking out one of my videos, hit that subscribe button. Also subscribe to the Woke Therapist Marlo's channel as well. She's got some interesting content, and you're gonna be. I know what I was gonna save this for later, but you're launching a couple channels though, right? Or you just keep that on the low for now?
Well, since you said it out loud.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because yeah,
No,
we,
no,
we got some
it's
we got some
cool.
we got some heat coming. Go ahead though. Yeah.
Yeah, I have another channel that I'm about to launch, and it's going to be Marlo, the woke therapist, on YouTube. And it's all of my other loves outside of my number one love that I've built my channel up on. And JR is going to be there. So
That's right.
for the live shows and stuff that we do, all of his subscribers are most certainly welcome because we love to hear from you. Love to have you as a guest. Love to talk to you, get to know more about you. So, yep, Marlo the Woke Therapist.
Y'all do
That's
that.
my other channel.
All right, so let's go ahead. I appreciate that, Marlo. I don't know
I'm
why the
trying to
link.
stay outside your chat. Like I'm looking at your chat and I'm like, let me not be nosy.
Yeah, you got some clowns. I try not to go in there too, but I've seen a few suspect comments in there. I don't care. I'll clap back at any of these turkeys. But go ahead. Let's go ahead and bring bro on here.
Hey, how's it going, JR?
Hey, the greatest day of my life. How about yourself?
Good. And
I
it's
got my
nice to
guest here too, the woke therapist,
yeah,
Marlo.
and it's nice to meet you, Marla.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah.
What you got for us, man?
So I was just listening to you guys talking, and I guess the crazy thing that I find in this space is that you got a lot of people that are just followers and just regurgitators of what people say, and they don't really have their own thought on what they think about something. It's just, oh well, this person said this, and I'm just gonna be a cheerleader. Jr. talks about it a lot on this channel, and I'm just gonna be a cheerleader for this person and not think about what the reality is or how things actually affect me as a person, rather than I'm just getting online wanting to argue with someone.
Right.
So I've I'll get a little backstory on me. I'm I'm 30 years old. I've been married for 4 years.
Okay.
I've been with
Congratulations.
I've been with my wife for 7 years, and I found that the troubles that I've had in my relationship is when I wasn't being honest with myself as a man.
What
So
do you mean by that?
so whenever I wasn't being honest about what I wanted, I had more trouble. So
Wow.
whenever I wasn't expressing what I wanted, I've had trouble, and that's when my wife was like, seeming to be this raging dragon and just coming at me. But
Yeah.
it's because I wasn't being honest. I
Right.
I wasn't letting her know what I wanted, and I guess when she was just my girlfriend, it's things that I wind up finding out that I wanted as far as like sexual experiences and stuff like that.
That's right.
That I didn't express, and then later on I felt like, oh man, I want to experience this, and then I'm like, oh, she might say no to this, and I don't know how she gonna react to this,
She
and
will. She will. She
yeah.
will. She will.
So then once like I actually talked to her about it, she was just like, I was like, oh my god, like she actually listened to me about it, and she was open to it, and but it's I just feel like dudes just got to learn to just be men and be leaders and actually think for yourself and
Yeah.
not try to not try to be this macho person. If you don't know, you don't know.
Facts.
You just don't know. And like I have no problem with saying I don't know something, but there's no need for you to get out. It's like driving a car and you're going in the wrong direction and you're just gonna keep driving in the wrong direction.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I know where I'm going. You're supposed to
Bump
be
this
going to
GPS. You know,
you're
damn
supposed to be
GPS.
going to supposed to be going to Florida. You headed to New York.
Right. Dog, that's real. Dude, that's a word right there. Like that's real, dude. That's that autonomy. Like that can change people's lives, dude. Cause I think a lot of like the miscommunication we have with people is because it's a lack of honesty, but just like you said, it's rooted in fear. It's like a
Mhm.
fear of rejection, or you're gonna think I'm weird, you're gonna say no. So we're kind of moving around, and that's even the root of passive aggression, which is something that a lot of women are guilty of. Like, we
Yep.
don't want to just be like, why you ain't take that trash out? Can you just take the trash out? So it's like
Yep.
doing different little stuff, but all of that is a form of dishonesty. So, dude, that's a
Mhm.
word right there for real.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
self honesty is literally the key. And it's being able to speak to a person from a deeper place. It's like soul to soul, heart to heart, of being able to say, this is what I feel right now,
Yep.
and it doesn't have to be on no mushy mushy type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
just being legit and being honest,
Yeah.
coming from your heart. That's a word, dude.
Yeah, and just
Real talk.
not wanting to, not really not answering to argue. Like I
Hmm.
guess that's the biggest thing that I've been
Oh
learning
yeah.
is like, and I expressed to my wife like, look, listen to what I say, and don't listen to respond to what I say.
Hmm.
Like you know, and a lot of people, it ain't just women, because it's men too, that just listen, just get up here and just want to argue. And it's like, what do you really want? Like, at the end of the day, what is it that we want? Do we want relationships, or do we want to get up here and argue with one another, go back and forth, and just cause a bunch of chaos that isn't working for either one? It's not working out for men or women to be out here arguing and talking about women ain't doing this and men aren't doing that. Like, it's like, okay, how about as men, we be the men that we need to be and be the husbands that we need to be. So when we find a wife, that we're ready for it. Like, a lot of these dudes ain't ready to be husbands.
Real talk.
So
Real talk.
That's why I like how JR does stuff, because, you know, and I'm just finding out about you, but I like how he do stuff, because he'll get up here. He's like, man, the He-Man woman haters, like,
yeah,
you know. So you know what I'm saying? They get up, and I've seen it, man. They get up here and they want this just bicker, and just the woman ain't doing this, and she needs to follow me, and like, okay, but you have to have something to teach someone. As a husband, you have to be a leader. You have to have something to impart into a woman for her to want to follow you. For like, I'll give you a good example, and I'll be brief about what I'm about to say. But my wife, she always told me, she said she was drawn to me by my knowledge of by me being able to teach her something. So, like, my knowledge of what I know about the Bible, she hasn't heard nobody break it down to her like that.
Aww.
So that's what actually drew her to me, is like my ability to just be able to break things down and to show her and to teach her, like, what certain things mean, and my knowledge about music and what I know, and everything. Every day I'm able to talk to her about something and have something to show her.
Yeah, because that breeds respect. You know what I'm saying? And it makes you proud. It's like, you know, you want to honor someone like that, you know, where it's like, that's my dude. You see how you talking about that word, girl? You heard what he said about Ecclesiastes 6:4? Yes.
That's right.
It's a sense of pride that's bred in a woman with that. Absolutely. Yeah. Because all of that stems from, if a woman did have a relationship with her father, it's like that same honor that you have for your father. And to see that in a man that you align your life with is beauty, because it's that same kind of like, oh wow,
that
you
reverence,
know what I mean? Yeah,
that reverence that you have for him, because that was the original.
That's
that was the original plan anyway. Your father was to protect her over you. Your father was to protect her over you until a husband came to be able to take over that role.
Absolutely.
But most people don't know nothing about, you know, a lot of people claim to know about the Bible, but a lot of people ain't read it. They go on based off of what somebody tell them about it.
There you go.
Facts.
That's a whack. Come through with it.
But I'm gonna let somebody else come on.
Look, you a bro already. Look, you fam. Look, I'm convinced.
I'm gonna add something to you, what you said though before you go, bro.
Okay.
Well, shout out to Michelle. Michelle is in the building. She's in the chat.
Michelle,
I told Michelle, go ahead and call in. So I can hear from you real quick since you in here. Go ahead and call in. But I wanted to touch on something you said, bro, which I talk about this a lot. And well, two things actually, because a lot of guys, they want to argue with me about that as well, and it's perfectly fine. For one, guys tend to argue and say they should be able to argue with women. I'm a strong I strongly disagree with arguing with anyone in general, but especially arguing with, and it's not a chauvinistic thing or that I'm better than a woman or something like that, because I wouldn't argue with a man either. But it's like some guys take pride, or basically they get a hard on for arguing with a woman. And I don't get that, what you're trying to accomplish. And I highlight that, and you're like, well, I should be able to get emotional. I should be able to do this, that, and the third. And it's just like, wow.
Well, that goes against the nature that men say that they want. So Correct. As the leader, you're held to a different standard. You're not supposed to be arguing with like, if you're supposed to be the one directing the ship, why are you taking the hand off the wheel to argue with someone? Like, your job is to steer the ship and make sure you get to where you need to get to safely. It's not to sit here and try to go do someone else's job, and like to go do the deckhand's job and clean the ship up.
Right.
It's not your job to do that. Your job is to be the leader and to make sure that everything is okay. But just like that, the responsibility is put on you and the consequences are put on you. So that's the issue I have with a lot of dudes, because then they say, I want to be the leader, but then you don't want to take the brunt end of what comes with that. Like me as a husband, I'm supposed to take the brunt end of whatever comes, because it's nothing against women. You might be able to take something, you might be able to be strong, but it's not in your innate nature to have to just bear everything.
Right.
It's not in your nature to do that. At all. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to bring everything together. Like that's just the nature of what like my wife is great at it's her words and how she can woo people and bring people in. Her job, she's a recruiter. So it's just wonderful how she can just look at someone and just draw them in with her personality. And I can't do that like she can, and I don't expect to. I just do the best that I can with what I bring to the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
and then you meet each other halfway.
Yeah. And the other issue you brought up, man, not an issue, but it's something like how you mentioned. I always say, guys say you need to lie to women. And I'm not completely opposed to that, lying to women. Let's get that straight. But I learned, as you said, and I think Kevin Gates said this, which is something that but I learned this way before you said this. If you are honest with a woman, and I don't want to liken it to literally God, but if you're honest with a woman, she'll treat you like God.
Right.
Not to say, not to partner with God, but basically
right.
to say that's how she'll treat you if you're just honest. And 9 times out of 10, same thing with approaching a woman. Guys try to come up with all these lines, and if you just say, not to be disrespectful, but this is what you said, you were kind of hesitant or apprehensive about, asking your wife about, a certain, situation, and come to find out she was up for it, and maybe she probably was waiting on you to say something about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't have two people that's hesitant. You spoke your truth, and then you got that out the way. It's just like passing gas in front of each other. I'm waiting for you to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And everybody's cool.
That's really a real thing people be scared to do.
You know what I'm saying? So just get it out the way and just be honest. And I think at a certain age, man, it's like it's really no time for that, man. Just communication is so important, though.
Yeah, just stop playing games, because at the end of the day, it's just I learned a lot when I was younger. The worst someone can tell you is no.
Absolutely.
The worst they can tell you is no. It's like, just accept the no, let the no be what it is, or let the yes be what it's going to be. And it's like I think the thing is that we're in the age, because I was born in the 90s, so I can remember when before the internet.
He's already 30. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I know, right? I was like, I just feel real old right now.
Yeah, continue. I can remember before the internet, when you had dial up, and you weren't, when it took you 20 minutes to load a page up.
Yeah.
And compared to now, and it's like the options, like people feel like that people are options that aren't options. So just because someone's available to you, that doesn't make them an option to you.
Right.
Like, just because you can message them instantly does not mean that you have a chance with that person. You have to make sure that we're being realistic about what we want, and can we offer that to that person.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's just like, if like these dudes keep talking about they want more than one spouse. It's like, you got to think about, and according to the Bible, if you had more than one spouse, you had to take care of each woman equally, each child equally. Like, you couldn't just I'm not gonna feel like it today. If both women wanted sex, you had to give it to them. If all your kids needed you, you had to be there for them. That is that is crucial.
Right.
It's a
Oh, that's real.
I get you, bro. But Yeah, good stuff though, bro, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate
but
you, man. Thanks for
hey,
calling
Pleasure
in.
to
man.
meet you.
Yeah, pleasure,
Thank
brother.
you. Y'all have a great night.
All
You
right, enjoy,
too.
bro. Appreciate the young man calling in. Good information. Good to
Wise
hear
young
that.
man.
Good situation. I'm more so on that being truthful. You know what I mean? And I think it's a fear and insecurity in itself when people, and I know that's judgmental by me saying that, but I do believe when it comes to honesty in couples,
Mhm.
if you can't be honest with this, it's either something that you have a fear of that
Mhm.
between you and that person, or you have some sort of insecurity. Hence why people cheat, you
Right.
know, because they're insecure instead of just maybe letting their spouse know, hey, I'm not feeling you on this type of time. I want variety,
Mhm.
or I want to
Mhm.
deal with this person, but I want to deal with you too. I want to have my cake and eat it too. You know what I'm
Yeah, dude.
saying?
Honesty is the key to success. I feel there's human beings are like the rainbow coalition. There's different people with different preferences, different desires. And I feel the greatest disservice to humanity is people denying themselves of their truth.
Mm,
Like that's the worst way to live is whatever it is that you want, you deserve to have what you want. It doesn't matter what that is. And to try to fit into some mold or some box or some standard that a person outside of you that has the same brain in their head that you have, and for you to try to fit to that and deny yourself is the greatest disservice of humanity. It truly is.
is Natasha? And I don't want to cut you off. Is Natasha Muhammad? Is she in your tribe? Do you know her?
Natasha is.
Okay, yeah, I see she's speaking on Islam and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Hmm.
I'll go ahead and read that because that's very important for those of you who don't know. And in studying Islam, Prophet Muhammad revered his wife Khadijah. She was a businesswoman, older, and held it down when he received Nabuiyah, Rasala. That's the message. Yeah, that's the message in Arabic. The Rasala, Wahi, revelation from Archangel Jibril. She was his first believer. Yep, you're right.
Come through,
She held it
Natasha.
down. Yeah, she's teaching. She's teaching. Yeah. Shout out to the prophet. Shout out to his wife Khadijah. Peace be upon him, and all that. Yeah, but that's during times, man. It's things are different. But if you can get you a wife like that, a Proverbs 31 wife, which all these men claim they're looking for, you know, that's Gucci. So, hey, we got the great Michelle. She's backstage. I'm about to bring her in real quick. You guys,
Oh, wow.
I don't want to hold. I don't want to. Well, let me not say that. I know Marlo. You got my back, Marlo. I ain't tripping.
Got
But
your back.
yeah, yeah, nah, because I know he's on here now. Go ahead and before I bring Michelle on, go ahead and get the likes up, guys. If you haven't and you're just now joining, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the Woke Therapist. I'm gonna pin her link in the chat to her channel. Marlo, the Woke Therapist. I just pinned it again. Make sure you guys subscribe. It's not highlighting for whatever reason. Maybe it might highlight on you guys end. Click on that, subscribe to her channel. Uh, we check the likes real quick before we bring them on. 59. Okay. But hit the like button anyway if you're just now getting in here. All right. So let's do it, Michelle. What's happening,
Hey.
Michelle?
Hello,
Good evening.
everybody.
How you
How are you?
doing?
I'm tired, but I had to come. I mean, I couldn't miss this for the world.
Ah.
Gracias. Why, thank
Couldn't miss
you.
this. So, what's the
So
hot
how
topic? What can I add to this amazing conversation?
What do men? I mean, what do
yeah,
men what
what do men want based off your
what do
clients,
men?
Michelle? What are you hearing from your clients that maybe women are, if they are having a difficulty understanding or coming to terms of wondering what a man wants? Is that a common theme that comes about, or does everybody have it together on what they want or what a man wants?
Well, men are weird to me. So I'm just going to say that. I don't understand you guys. You guys don't make sense to me because I'm like, most of the females that I know that are a catch, amazing, the prize, they're the ones that get dogged out. Like all the.
Just did that video today, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. I'll have to watch it. I'll
Just
have to
did
watch
that
it.
video today. Continue though. Go ahead.
And it's a situation of, and then when because I have my podcast is all about relationships, and I have men who are on there, and they'll say the same thing. They want loyalty, they want respect, they want to feel respected. That's a big one. They want to have somebody that they can be vulnerable with. They want to have somebody who knows that they have their back. They want to have somebody who only kind of, is all about them, which all makes sense. But then when you get a female who does that, it's like your actions don't match your words. And I'm not making a generalized statement. I'm not saying this about because there's decent guys out there. I know they are. I'm pretty sure JR is one of them. Pretty sure.
I try to be, yeah.
Pretty sure. We're crossing my fingers.
God
but
willing.
Yeah, and my brother is amazing. There's guys the guys who've been on my podcast are very vulnerable and very, very forthcoming with information. But then when we look at just historically in totality on clients that I've worked with, when you see people trying to do that or give that type of respect, admiration, communication, the relationships a lot of times don't turn out the way you would think they should. And a lot of these females are single by choice because they're tired of dealing with the BS. Present company included. I mean, we get tired. It's like, all right, you want all of the things. I give you all of the things. And then what? You want more things? Like,
that reminds me of something that JR said before, though. But you said it from a guy's perspective. You were saying that, like, with guys, like, it's that whole thing of like I guess chasing a chick. I don't know what the term is for it, where a dude isn't gonna like do all of that kind of stuff because that kind of what causes contention and partnerships and stuff. And I was like, that's so interesting because I was like, women look at it the same way. And that's why I was like, this is so fascinating where it's like guys are saying the same thing women are saying. And I was like, how are we saying the same thing right now? But it's that thought of like not really knowing where to invest.
Right.
If that makes sense. Because when you're investing, like Michelle is saying, when you're investing, it's like you're not getting that reciprocated. So it's like, I'm just not going to invest and I'm going to sit back and be like, okay, what are you doing? Type of deal.
You're talking about, are you referring to when I said in terms of a relationship, like you shouldn't invest until you're actually in a relationship? I don't know.
Not that aspect of it. Because I already told you how my daddy feel about that.
Yeah. But I'm trying to recall
but
what
meaning
it is.
In the sense of when you're engaging with a person, like when you're still in like the dating phase.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's
you talking about chasing?
Yeah, I think that's the area of how it is you were saying it. It was like chasing, like good morning texts and things of the sort. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry.
What'd you say, Michelle? Say it again.
That was a trigger for me. Like,
no,
don't good morning me to death. Don't hey me to death. Like, if I'm pissed, hey is not an apology. Hey is not an apology, fellas.
Exactly.
I'm just putting that out there. Hey is not an apology. Good morning, beautiful. That's not an apology.
Well, what about just a greeting?
I mean, if you're gonna do it authentically. Don't do it because you know I'm pissed. Like, I know you're mad at me. Can we talk about it? Don't hey.
Well,
we did not just have an argument.
Well, Michelle, let's take it outside of being pissed. We're just talking about me and you dating, right? If me and you were dating, just in general, like I've known you a week, right? I got your number. We met, went on one date, and I'm texting you every morning. Nothing to do with you being upset. This is just general getting to know each other. And I'm texting you every morning. Good morning, beautiful. What's your thoughts on that? That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Not good morning, beautiful. Like, have some substance behind it. Like, hey, hope you slept well. What's on the agenda for today?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Have some interaction where there's a communication back and forth, where there's open-ended questions and the ability to get to know you on another level versus good morning, beautiful. And it's not a situation of discrediting or minimizing that, because some females, you know, that works, but I want something on a different level. I want more depth. Let me know what you're doing today. You know, maybe we can link up, maybe we can do lunch, maybe we can conversate later. But good morning, beautiful, you could be sending that to 5-6 other females.
Facts.
By the way, I'm gonna kill somebody game right now. There's actually an app you could do that. I found out about, and I was appalled. And
Exactly.
I know somebody that uses it, but it's an app, and you can send it to That's the thing. I was like, oh, that's the thing. Okay, that's not weird,
right? I need more depth.
So texting, if I'm going to text you, I need to have a purpose, but well, not a purpose, but
a purpose. You're right.
Yeah, have a purpose.
Because it's authenticity.
Arbitrarily, just what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey,
We're not in high school. We're not in high school anymore.
Yeah.
And your text is going to be lost with a crap load of other stuff because I'm busy. I got stuff to do. I don't have the time to entertain somebody asking me or just saying good morning. I might not respond to you because I don't see it, because with your good morning text, I might have got 5 or 6 other texts due to work and other projects. No, not that.
I'm just
They'll be trying to mess it up for me now.
Yeah.
That's real. That's the consistency I hear, man, is it's all about honesty and authenticity.
Right.
And I feel you can discern that from a person. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a certain way you can send a good morning text, but it's a certain way that you send a good morning text where it's not just a good morning text. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
You know what I mean?
I need
it's
more.
like it don't have to literally be like good morning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it could be just like something that's coming from that authentic place within yourself, and you just pick up on that vibe, and it's like, oh, well, hey, how you doing?
The dork
you know
in me, send me a gift. You're in.
Right. So and see that's what I was asking Marlo just now. So the gift thing, right? So
that is my love language. Just saying.
Right.
I get it, but is it your love language for a guy that you're just dating? You guys
I
aren't
can have a whole conversation in gifts.
No, we're not talking about GIFT. We talking about GIF.
My bad. That went over my head. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, it was funny. I was just having a conversation because I just
gifts.
Gifts.
She's talking about gifts as in presents.
No, we talk about GIFs.
So I just had a conversation because I just learned how to use that in my editing now. So now, like, all my new videos have, like, you know, I heard some people say it's GIFs or whatever, but it's GIFs, and that's what I was having a conversation about, the pronunciation. GIFs, GIFs, GIFs. I don't know. So that is what you're talking about, not actual. But you said love languages. GIFs are not love languages. If we talking about
gifts and sarcasm. If somebody wants to get to me, gifts and sarcasm, I'm in.
Right.
GIFs.
Yep.
And sarcasm.
And sarcasm.
And sarcasm.
If you don't get pissed off and all in your feelings when I bust your chops, we're good. Because I'm a smart ass and I will piss you off. So.
Hey. So what's your thoughts on gifts though? GIFTS. Gifts. What's your thoughts?
I'm not impressed by them because I can do my own. Like, I spoil myself to the point where I don't need somebody doing it for me. Now, if somebody wants to send me Langston Hughes stuff and things like that, I'm gonna be very appreciative.
Okay.
But that's not something that I require because I know what I want and I'm gonna get what I want. So that's not a requirement for me. I know it's important for other people. It's definitely not. Words of affirmation are my love language. I'm a very verbal, mental type of individual. I need you to tell me, and then back up your words with your actions. One thing that annoys females is when a dude does not back up his words with his actions. Like, don't freaking bother me. Don't bother me. So yeah, words of affirmation, and then backing up what you're speaking. Match them.
That congruency.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
those things, I get it, because I hear a lot of women that I've seen via social media seen a lot of women complain about that, about guys not being congruent with what it is that they say that they're going to do, and basically the flaking, which is a whole nother thing, which I would talk about as well. But I feel that women flake on men more so than the other way around. But I
Can
get
I
it.
tell you
How?
why?
Huh?
Can I tell you why?
Can please do, please.
A female works hard to protect our femininity. And at any time we feel it's threatened or we don't feel safe, we're out. We're out in different ways. We might check out mentally, physically, spiritually, psychologically. But if you don't allow me to feel safe to where I can expose that to you, I'm not going to be that.
Mm,
So if that means I'm out, I'm not responding to you anymore, or my behavior changes, it's because you have done something where now I question safety around you, where now I feel threatened, and threatened in not physically, but emotionally, um, spiritually, psychologically. Something that the person has done has caused me to say, okay, I need to fall back because I'm not going to keep moving forward with this individual because I don't feel safe anymore.
mhm.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I think I was speaking from a point of let's if you're dating, I guess that's I get where you're I get it, I totally get where you're coming from in terms of,
Yeah,
because it
same
sounds like
thing.
you're along the lines of ghosting. But I mean in terms of like
Mm-mm.
meeting, just meeting up, or just having the common courtesy to say, hey, not gonna make it, or I'm not gonna be able to make it. I know we planned this, so on and so forth. I'm talking about in terms of we being congruent with what it is that we agreed upon, or what it is that you told me you were going to do, as opposed to just somebody basically doing something totally to turn you off or to piss you off and things like that, as opposed to uh an agreement between you two,
Okay.
so to speak. That's kind of like what I was getting at in terms of flaking and things like that. But yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. I think ghosting should be like an extreme case. You know what I mean? But I know women are a lot of times along the lines of, you know what you did. I don't need to explain nothing. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I don't have to explain anything. You can figure it out on your own.
But I like explaining.
You like explaining?
But yeah,
If
yeah.
you ghosting, you're not explaining nothing. You talking
I try
about,
not to ghost though. I have a whole podcast about ghosts, zombies, and imaginary friends.
yeah,
And
Mhm.
a lot of times ghosting is basically the person has no home training. It's just
Mhm.
rude. Or B, they're trying to avoid an emotional confrontation.
yes.
They don't want confrontation, so it's easier for me to just disappear. But I'll tell you straight up, I'm like, meh. Or I'll do something that's so damn annoying that you ghost me, and I'm like, okay, win-win.
Damn, I never heard that one.
That
I know.
Pisces, that
I heard of
Pisces manipulation.
No, I heard of women like basically like being so turned off from a guy that they'll intentionally do stuff, or i.e., let's say if she is having a dealing with another dude or has another situation going on, she'll intentionally do things to basically like, I'm out of here, or things like that. But you said something about high school. What did you say?
No, it's mental manipulation.
Right.
Pisces do it really well, and but I know that was bad. Any other Pisces? I'm talking about myself, but I don't subscribe to that. Like if it's not going anywhere, it's not going. It's okay.
Mm,
I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and everybody's not mine, and that's okay. And I
facts.
think it comes with a maturity level
Yeah.
to have those
Mhm.
conversations because
Right.
that doesn't take away anything from who you are or who I am. We might just not vibe. If
Mhm.
you can't deal with somebody who works crazy long hours, who likes to go off by themselves and not have you with her all the
Yeah.
time and take trips, but you're not going to vibe with me. And that's okay
Yeah.
because I don't do
Mhm.
clingy.
Yeah,
And
clingy is one of those things, and I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's the worst thing, that can make a man feel like a child. And when you have a woman telling you you're too clingy, or you're too needy or something like that, which I've been guilty of in the past, so I'm like quite aware. That's why I say that whole Thich Nhat Hanh quote: "You must love in such a way the person you love feels free." You know what I'm saying? You
Yes.
got the
True.
space. You got it. You got it. I'm not. I'm not on that type of time. You are as free as a bird. You know, do your
Mhm.
thing. You need to have something to do anyway. You got to have your own
Yes.
life,
You have to.
men and women. You can't just be sitting back. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, what's going on? Or calling my phone constantly. Vice versa with a woman. You calling her constantly, see what she got going on. It's
Mhm.
you pushing her away. You know, you can't. A woman losing her freedom is the worst thing, or her feeling like she losing her freedom
Right.
is the, in my opinion. You know, from what I've learned. You know, because
I
it's
feel
just
it's the
like
same for both people, man. It's
men.
that's
Like I said, men are more. Even though me and you talked about this,
mhm.
I think men are more forgiving when it comes to that, though.
Mhm.
You know, I think a woman, like, if you do those things, she's just like, eh. You know what I'm saying? A man is just like, oh shit, I got her, I got her, whatever. You see, she calling my phone, blah, blah, blah. A woman is just like, oh my goodness. And nowadays, unlike back in the day, and I said this before, a woman would ask after you guys are intimate or whatever, are you gonna call me? Now she don't gotta worry about that because the dude is constantly calling her. You know what I'm saying? And she don't have to, she gotta worry about him, like, why is this dude calling me? I just gave him some and I'm talking, it's not that I'm talking vulgar, but I just gave him some and now this dude won't stop calling my phone. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like to that point now. You know what I mean? And men are more forgiving. A woman, you can call a man a few times and he's gonna get back to you. You end up doing that with a woman, she's just like blocked, block, 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 block. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I meant by that. We're more forgiving. You can mess up a
Mhm.
lot more with a man, in my opinion, than you can with a woman. But yeah, just
Interesting.
my thoughts on that.
This is great. I'm loving to hear thoughts. I love when
Yeah, right.
men share their thoughts because,
Same.
man, look, y'all are an enigma to me. And
Mhm.
it, women are so complicated. It's
They are.
no, it's the
It is.
men. You say it's like, okay, I want this, I want that, then you get it, and it's like, oh hell, I don't know what to do with this. And my whole thing is, if you're not ready, and this is another nugget for the dudes, and I'll get off your line, JR. I know you're like, damn, Michelle, could you go? But another nugget for the dudes. Y'all, this is my area. This is my space. Dude, if you are not ready, then leave her alone. I'm just
Mm.
saying it. If you're not ready, then leave her alone. Like, don't freaking bother me if you're not ready to play. Play
But she
ball,
only
baby.
wants the dude. She only wants the dudes that aren't ready, though.
Oh,
The dudes who are ready, she just,
explain.
I can't wait for
man,
this podcast. This is going to
Come
be
on,
amazing.
come on.
I
Explain,
cannot wait
JR.
for
man.
this.
Women get, there's so many quality, there's quality guys that may not, you can either say something wrong or he may not meet the attraction test at first sight or just timing, just in general. And she can completely overlook that guy and end up going with this other guy just because of timing sake,
Mm.
as opposed to this guy who may have been a good fit. And I believe everything that's happens is supposed to happen. That's just how I look at things. But I think there's so many guys that get overlooked because of trivial things or because of preconceived notions about men or even a girlfriend getting in your ear and saying certain things that women do tend to miss out on good dudes sometimes, and they'll end up with this guy who may have the gift of gab, may have a certain look, or may have a certain appearance, just at first sight. There's just my thoughts, because 9 times out of 10, from what I've seen, from what I've gathered, it's rare that you come across a woman who said that it was my fault when something goes wrong. It's always usually the guy's fault when something bad happens. It's never like I was the one who did something wrong. I mean, it does occur. I do hear it from time to time, but almost always you can just skim through social media and see, this guy did me wrong. Why are guys not congruent? Why are guys liars? Why don't they tell the truth? Why are they users? Narcissist is like, heavily used on the daily, and it's just to the point like, damn, like are all these dudes busters, or is it the dudes you choose busters? I mean, what's going on? But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
And I think too, it's the person, it's the individual. So if if you're using those examples to do a broad stroke, no pun intended there. But if you're using those females, I know I'm so freaking vulgar. Sorry. If you're using those examples and saying, okay, most women, but you have to look, there's like a lot of people who aren't most women. Like, we're not most women. Myself and Marlo, very not most women. You won't know anything about my relationship status by looking anywhere online. Anywhere. You hardly can find me online because I'm very, very particular about what I put out there, because no one needs to know my business like that. No one deserves access to your story. No one deserves access to your energy like that. And you're not entertainment. So why would I put my stuff out there? And I will say I'm very, very big on apologizing, because I screw up a lot. I say stuff when I shouldn't say it. I come across blunt sometimes and people get feelings hurt. I'm like, my bad. I'm sorry. Because I know I move with integrity and character, and nothing that I do is done on purpose to hurt somebody. If I do hurt somebody, it's completely unintentional, and I will apologize for it. But if
Yes.
you screw something over on me, you're gonna hear about it too. So it's about the person, the individual, their ability to communicate, their ability to receive redirection if needed, but also their ability to provide that type of information. Because if somebody's doing something you don't like, if you don't say anything, how are they going to know?
Yes.
So you have to be able to communicate. So if people are falling into those categories, it's because they're choosing it. And I tell people all the time, you choose what you allow. So if you are allowing this behavior to continue, I don't care how many different dudes you are dating or females you're dating. If you're dating the same person in a different meat suit, you're going to keep getting the same thing. And if you keep choosing that, you're allowing it. So then who do you have to blame?
Mm-hmm. It ain't all men's fault. It ain't all women's fault.
Absolutely not.
Some self-agency.
Yeah, dude. And that's the thing I say, that speaks to a level of emotional maturity. It speaks to a level of self-awareness. Whenever someone speaks in absolutes and it's like it's all their fault, that's always a red flag.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
I speak in generalizations. I'm guilty, but yeah.
Of course. Oh, we
that's-
all do. Communicating, we do. But when speaking specifically when it comes to a person's personal relationships, that's a red flag if a man or a woman says that all of my relationships that didn't work out, it was their fault. I was a good person. I was really good to them, but it was their fault. Like, they were the messed up ones. That's a red flag. That's a red flag.
That is definitely a red flag. And both men and women definitely need to peep that when they're talking to somebody. And more than not, especially on that first interview, that first date, if you know how to talk and you just listen, people usually give that information up. You know what I'm saying? They usually give it up, and that's how you can tell. That's definitely one of those red flags where it's just like, but accountability, I think it goes for, because we always say, and I see it in the chat here, that women have trouble with accountability, and society allows women to not be accountable for their actions. Once again, I'm nobody's parent. That's how, and that's one of the biggest things they scream about in this space. You're not holding her accountable. You're not holding her accountable. You have to hold her accountable. You're a simp. You're not holding her accountable. I don't get anything from this woman. This woman is not my girlfriend. She's not my wife. I'm just giving commentary at this point. This isn't my wife. Why do I have to, as it said, why do I want to see a blood? Why do you want to see a bloodbath? It's something deep within you to want to see a woman or a man, if you're on that other end, get bashed repeatedly. If that's all you're feeding yourself, or you're feeding into a person, or you're listening to a person that all they're doing is saying derogatory things to the opposite sex, and you're getting a hard on about it, it's something that you need to reflect. You need to self-reflect on, why are you feeling a certain type of way about this.
Temporary fix.
I'm all for accountability on both ends, and it's I'm accused of riding the fence and things like that because of accountability, but I think it's so important, and I think once you get to that point where that anger is no longer there, because a lot of people just have anger and they want to stay in that angry space because
Mm-hmm.
it feels good, or they don't
Justification, validation.
validation, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for this. I already know what they're gonna do. They're gonna do this to me. They're gonna do this to me. She's gonna tell me no. She's gonna leave me. She's gonna divorce me. She's gonna dump me. She's gonna take everything I got. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's hypergamy. You know, all these things. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is a space, and that's why I'm kind of looking forward to when you guys do kick this thing off, to have
Oh
these
yeah.
conversations. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
have these chats having 2,000 and 3,000 deep. You know, for sure, God willing, 3,000, 4,000 plus,
I'm here
and have
for
it
it.
jumping. You know what I mean? So yeah, but I don't want to drag this on any longer. Did you guys have anything? I know, Michelle, you've been awesome, very vocal. I seen some people in the chat. No, you got some people in the chat saying some things, because of you being vocal and things like that. But I guess when you're vocal, that guys in the space, and if you feel that way, you feel that way, but you equate that to masculinity when a woman is vocal about certain things, which this is what I saw in the chat, but I didn't say it. I'm just seeing that in the chat where
Like I
people are
said,
saying that.
I'm not for everybody, and I
Yeah,
like it that way.
yeah, and you never can be, because you wouldn't be authentic, and that's something that I need to obviously
Send
you
them
and Marlo.
over to my podcast. I would love to talk to them.
Yeah, what's your
Relationships through the looking glass. Come on.
you got a YouTube channel too, right? That's the one you're talking about.
No, the
Or
relationships through the looking glass is the podcast. There's a YouTube channel associated with it, but
gotcha,
it's so inconsistent.
gotcha.
But all
Can
they
you?
got to do is, hey, even my website. Come on, www.theLookingGlass.fans. Bring it.
Mm,
Let me type that in here.
I love your podcast.
www.theLookingGlass.fans.
Yep.
Okay, I have put Michelle's link in the chat. You guys check that out. I hope I spelled that right. Fans, shit.
Yeah, .fans.
Oh my goodness, I'm sitting up here. Yeah, I can't edit it. Let me type that again. Sorry about that. You guys got it. www. You guys are funny, man.
Yeah, but
www.
I'm trying not to look at the chat because they're
Yeah,
going in.
it's always a riot, man. In there.
It's it's so entertaining. I was like, this is it's a whole show
Fans.
going on.
Yeah, so that's her link. I just posted it in there, man. Y'all check that out. What's the is there? What was the name again for the upcoming
Relationships through the
podcast?
looking glass. Oh,
No,
for
not
our
yours.
upcoming one?
Yeah. Y'all don't have a
Um,
name, or y'all don't want to announce it
Oh,
yet, or am I getting?
it's Michelle and me.
that's the name. I thought we had the other one name.
Which one? Because me and
Truth be
Michelle do so
told, I
much
thought it
stuff
was
together,
Truth Be
dog.
Told.
Oh yeah, truth be told, that's what we're doing with JR. Yeah.
Okay.
What we're doing with JR, and it's another gentleman that we're talking about relationships with. But Michelle and me literally do Michelle and me. But no, truth be told, that's what we're doing with JR, which is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Those will be very interesting. Or we can get down to the nitty gritty, talk about real relationship stuff, talk about real feelings, real challenges, and things of the sort. So, looking forward to that.
For sure, it's going to be interesting. Anybody got? Did you guys have any parting words? Want to plug any more? I know you got. I know I already plugged yours. Marlo, I'm sorry, we already got that. Do you want to shout out your IG and anything else while we're on here?
Everywhere on the interwebs, I'm the woke therapist. So
Yeah,
if you put in the woke therapist anywhere, you'll find me. Whether that's Twitter, whether that's Instagram, YouTube, what have you. I'm all over the interweb, same name.
And Michelle,
I need to get out this chat because this chat is too much.
Yeah.
I'm not even looking at it.
I'm not looking at it. I need to start looking at it. This is funny.
If they IG, I'm at the Looking Glass podcast, and same with Facebook, the Looking Glass podcast. So
okay, that is awesome. So if we don't have any more calls, shout out to everybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Y'all stick around here. I'm gonna, we're gonna talk backstage here. But
Okay.
I appreciate everybody tuning in. And if you haven't, make sure you guys subscribe to everybody's channels. For those of you watching the restream, the links will be in the description as well for you guys to subscribe, follow, and all of those great things as well. Make sure you guys book a session if you've been interested in therapy and things of the sort. And y'all already know, as usual, check it out. Just a few announcements. Like I said, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hey, make sure you guys follow me on IG as well as my Patreon. Just an announcement for you guys, being that it takes about 4 days for my videos to become active on YouTube. If you want to see them first, go subscribe to my Patreon, as well as other perks you guys have on there. I appreciate you guys. Y'all know the usual. Pick up, all the links are down here scrolling at the bottom. Pick up all my t-shirts and merch. Shout out to everybody, man. This is a good chat. I appreciate you guys. Everybody who brought, gave some input and called in. And with that being said, man, this is wisdom. Peace be upon you all. The mercy and blessings of the Almighty. And I will catch you guys on the next one. People are cracking up in the chat, man. What's happening here?
Yes, it's live.
Yeah. I'll see you guys later. All right.